AI workspaces are quietly becoming the new browser tabs for your life, and Gemini's take on ChatGPT-style projects might change how you organize everything you do with AI. But here's where it gets interesting. The way these projects are starting to show up inside the Gemini Android app is not exactly what many people expected. Gemini has been gradually building out a projects feature in its Android experience, similar in spirit to ChatGPT's projects, which act like dedicated workspaces for specific tasks or topics. Instead of letting every conversation blur together, projects give you a focused space where all related chats and files live side by side, making it easier to stay organized when you're working on complex research, long-term planning, or creative projects. For anyone juggling multiple ideas or clients, this kind of separation can be the difference between a chaotic chat history and a clean, structured workflow. Initially, early hints in the app suggested that Gemini projects might have to be created on the web first, with the mobile app only acting as a viewer or companion. That implied a desktop-first mindset, where serious setup work would happen in a browser before you could meaningfully engage on your phone. Now, though, the picture is shifting. Newer builds of the Google app on Android reveal that you can surface a new project option directly inside Gemini on your device. In other words, it looks like you may be able to start and manage projects on mobile without needing to touch the web at all, a big quality of life upgrade for people who rely on their phones as their main AI device. However, this feature is still clearly in progress. The interface already shows the flow for creating a project, including a visible Create Project button, but that button doesn't actually do anything yet. It feels a bit like walking into a fully furnished room only to find the doors still locked. You can see the structure forming, but you can't use it in real life. And this is the part most people miss. These half-finished interfaces tell you a lot about where Google is headed, even if you can't tap your way into a working feature yet. Digging into the text that supports this feature, one key detail stands out. Gemini projects will let you attach up to 10 source files that the AI can reference throughout that project. In practical terms, that means you could upload documents, notes, or other resources specifically for that workspace, and Gemini would use only those materials as context when helping you within that project. This design aligns neatly with the idea of keeping sources fenced in, so your sensitive files or niche references don't automatically bleed into unrelated chats. It's perfect, for example, if you want Gemini to work from a handful of PDFs for a research assignment, or a set of briefs for a client project, without pulling in random past conversations. Of course, that little phrase up to 10 files raises a big question. Is that limit permanent, or could it depend on which Google AI plan you're on? Some might see 10 as plenty for lightweight use, while power users may find it restrictive for serious research or enterprise workflows. Should advanced users be able to attach dozens of files or even connect entire folders or cloud drives to a single project? This could easily become a controversial talking point, especially if higher limits end up locked behind paid tiers. Beyond projects, there are also signs that Gemini's overall interface is being quietly rearranged in preparation for new workflows. One area getting attention is the account switcher, the section where you move between accounts or related tools. At the moment, a direct shortcut to Notebook LM does not appear there in the live app, but the underlying work strongly suggests Google is thinking about placing one in that spot. If that happens, it would tighten the link between Gemini and Notebook LM, nudging users to see them as part of the same ecosystem rather than separate, disconnected tools. In the same region of the interface, Gemini's Scheduled Actions feature also looks like it may be on the move. Right now, scheduled actions are somewhat varied. You access them through the account switcher and then dive into settings. That flow makes them easy to overlook, even for users who might find them incredibly useful. Google appears to be considering a relocation to the side hamburger menu, which would bring them closer to the surface and make them feel like a more core part of the Gemini experience. This shift hints that scheduled actions could be something Google wants more people to discover and rely on for automation. It's important to remember that none of these changes, projects created in-app, menu tweaks, shortcuts, or file limits, are officially live features for everyone yet. They are glimpses into work-in-progress functionality that may change, evolve, or even be shelved entirely before reaching the public. This is the reality of modern app development. What you see hidden in unfinished builds is a roadmap, not a promise. That naturally raises debate. Should users get excited about features that might never ship, or should they treat all this as purely speculative until Google makes a formal announcement? There's also a broader, more philosophical question hiding under all of this. If AI tools like Gemini and ChatGPT are becoming central productivity hubs, should their project systems be tightly controlled and minimal, or wide open and highly customizable? Some people will argue that strict limits, simple menus, and slow rollouts keep things stable and beginner-friendly. Others will insist that serious users need more freedom, higher file limits, richer project structures, and deeper integration across Google services right now, not months down the line. And this is the part most people miss. How Google answers these questions in Gemini could influence what working with AI looks like for millions of people over the next few years. One more keynote: these kinds of early feature peaks typically come from digging through unfinished app code, essentially reading the scaffolding behind the polished interface. That approach is great for spotting where a product might be heading, but it can never guarantee the final result. Features can be delayed, heavily redesigned, or canceled altogether depending on testing, strategy shifts, or user feedback. So while it's exciting to see Gemini's project system starting to take shape, it's wise to stay flexible about expectations. So what do you think? Should AI projects and tools like Gemini be tightly limited and simple, or should Google go all in on powerful, customizable workspaces with higher file caps and deeper integrations? Do you like the idea of starting projects directly on mobile, or do you prefer a web-first setup for serious work? Share whether you agree or disagree with these directions, and how you'd design Gemini projects if you were in charge.